Hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in to TD Talks. Today, TD Talks the financials of raising children. It's one of my favorite financial topics, the financials of raising children. It's one of my favorite ones. And if you're watching this, you notice I'm wearing a pink tie. If you're listening to this, just take my word for it. I'm wearing a pink tie. Just picture me in a pink tie. That means that we've had our second child, our baby girl, baby Harper. I pre-recorded this episode so I wouldn't miss a week because I've gotten a really, awesome reaction from folks who have been listeners, have been watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So I didn't want to miss a week. So I recorded this one in advance for the week that I'm out for baby Harper being born. And I just told my staff, hey, once I'm out for baby Harper being born, just post the pink tie episode, make it easy on them. But I want to talk about the financials of raising children because I think something I want to speak on is dispelling the great lie that's been sold in our culture and in our society in recent times. And that is this great lie that raising children is unaffordable, and this idea that you can't live, your best life, you can't live a fulfilling life if you have children, or this idea that children are just unaffordable. It's unaffordable to raise children in modern times. Um, I think that is a big fat lie that's been sold and permeated our culture. Everything from celebrities to movies to television shows to newspapers, magazines, news shows, social media, and social media influencers. It's a big fat lie. So let's talk about it. Number one, there's this lie that you can't live a fulfilling life if you dedicate time, energy, and resources to children. I will tell you this is my opinion. I've heard my whole life that children are the greatest source of abundance and fulfillment in life. I never disagreed with it. I just never really understood it or experienced it until we had children of our own. And I'll tell you this, I wouldn't trade the most mundane moment with our children. I'm talking sitting in the grass in the backyard or holding them while I'm stirring up some mac and cheese or watching a movie that I'm not the least bit entertained by, but they are. I wouldn't trade the most mundane moment with our children for the greatest professional achievement. I wouldn't do it. I've been on, different stages and got recognition and been in articles and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's cool for a moment, for about 15, 16 seconds when you're on a stage or whatever. But that stuff is vanity. It's vanity. It means nothing in the long term, but your children are the greatest source of, in my view, wealth and abundance and fulfillment in life. There's no amount of zeros that I could look at in an account that would make me feel the feeling that I get when I look into the eyes of our children. There's just nothing like it. And that's my opinion. Um, let's talk about the affordability. So, the cost of raising children has risen significantly in the past several decades. Um, for whatever reason, a lot of influential sources like to talk about it as if that's an isolated problem. It's an isolated problem. That's the only thing that's really risen a lot in past couple decades. So I did the research, I did the math to share with you all. From 2010 to 2024, wages have increased 35%. Here's where we get into the real problem. It's a lie that tries to isolate raising children. I don't know why that's the agenda or the initiative, but wages have increased 35% on average from 2010 to 2024. We don't have 2025 data yet. Okay. Housing has increased 153%. 153%. But I don't really see anybody saying, don't ever buy a house. You'll never find fulfillment in it. Don't buy one. Don't buy one. In fact, the overall narrative is buy more than you can afford, become house poor. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. So why is that okay? I don't know. Um, food, the cost of food has gone up 48% over that same period of time. So we've got 35% increase in wages. We got 153% increase in housing. We've got 48% in food, 48% in healthcare. Children is 72%. So children, the cost of raising children from 2010 to 2024 has increased 72%. That's more than food, more than healthcare, but far less than housing. Far less than housing. So why is the narrative around having babies and raising children the way that it is? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I love our house. It's beautiful because my wife's made it beautiful. She's curated it into this like beautiful, warm, cozy place to live. But when I walk in, I'm not like, you know, find some amazing level of abundance and fulfillment, especially compared to the way I feel walking in and seeing our children in that house. It's the children that make life feel a sense of wealth and abundance and fulfillment. So based on the numbers, cost of raising children is up, but it's not up as much as housing. Everything is up. That's inflation. I will make note of the fact that the one thing that hasn't risen equal to or even close to those other rising costs are wages. Now, it doesn't even come close. So our inflationary problem in the United States is broad and across the board. Everything has been affected by it. But why is the idea of raising children the one that gets attacked the most or the one that gets degraded the most? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I think I know. I haven't figured it out yet, but I think I know. Um, Here's what happens when you have children and there's rising costs. This whole idea that you just can't have children these days. It's too expensive. There's a difference between can't and won't. It's not a can't thing. For these influential sources that say you can't do it, what they really mean is you won't do it, and they want to feed that inherent selfishness by saying you won't do it because that would mean you would have to repurpose cash flow. You would have to repurpose cash flow budget wise, and you won't be able to spend money the way that you're used to spending it. I'll give you an example. When we started thinking about being prepared to have children, we talked about saving up an emergency reserve for healthcare expenses or anything that could go wrong or whatever we weren't prepared for. The one thing that shocked me the most was the way we went through clothes. Because when our son Harrison was born, at 6 months, he was wearing 12-month clothes. He's a 99th percentile guy, big guy. At 18 months, he's wearing 3T clothes. Now he's 21 months. Now he's a big brother. At 21 months, he's wearing 3T clothes. And I mean, it's insane. Thankfully, we prepared for that. You got to prepare for this stuff. It takes a little bit of discipline and discernment to think through what do I need to do? Where do I need to be prepared? Now let's reverse engineer what habits I need to build so I can be in a good position. The other thing that happens is you repurpose cash flow. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's talk about something discretionary because a lot of times people say, "Well, I won't be able to travel the way that I, do right now, and I just really like that." Um, I just wouldn't be able to do the things that are fun. I'd just be locked down by these children. You can still do things. It just gets repurposed if you are selfless in your decision making. If you're selfless in your decision making, I can tell you, it becomes really easy when you look into the eyes of your own baby. When you look into the eyes of a tiny, tiny version and extension of you and your spouse, it becomes much easier to be selfless. That's just my experience. But I'll give you an example of a discretionary example. A couple of years ago, around this time of year before children, we went to a Luke Bryan concert. Love a good Luke Bryan concert. They're fun, they're rowdy, they're entertaining. Music's great, the performance is great, the crowd's great. It's just fun. This year, this spring, we went to Disney on Ice. We went to Disney on Ice, and it was awesome. It was really cool. Not to see the characters, but to see the way our son reacted to the characters. And the costs were not all that different. They were in kind of the same ballpark. Now you might think, well, if you're, a couple front rows at a country star concert, that's got to be more expensive than Disney on Ice. Not when you throw in the cost of the bubble wand, okay? Not when you throw in the cost of the bubble wand and don't tell me, well, you don't need the bubble wand. Yeah, the kid needs the bubble wand. Our son needed the bubble wand. He loves bubbles, okay? He needed it, and we needed that to bring home because the living room needs to be filled with bubbles. I love the chaos. I like it. It's fun. It keeps things interesting. The dogs are jumping, trying to bite him. He's laughing his head off. That's magic. That's happiness. That's fulfillment. That's abundance. So yeah, when you add in the bubble one, it's about the same. It's about the same. What you end up doing is just repurposing the cash flow. You start looking at here's what we're used to spending on things. Now here's where we will not be spending the money because it's going to be repurposed to things for our child. That takes a little bit of selflessness, which is very easy to do. Like I said, it's very easy to do when you're looking into the eyes of your child. There's nothing like it. I also think that it comes down to just being prepared, thinking it through, being prepared so that you're ready for that. And there's going to be things that you couldn't possibly prepare for. There's going to be, you know, medical expenses. There's going to be, expenses that are tied to just things that you want to do for your child that you didn't really know you were going to want to do, different travel expenses, different clothes. Might need to get a different, more expensive kind of diaper because of diaper rash. That sort of stuff happens, and you just prepare for it. You think through it and you get prepared. But yeah, you make sacrifice so that you can have the most fulfilling part of your entire life, which is raising your children. A couple things I wanted to talk about when it comes to not just settling for these increased expenses, but thinking of ways that we can combat them to further ease the fear of having children. One, I think the uh, that the daycare expense in our country is insane. It's absolutely insane. I can't tell you how many families that I know where one spouse stops working because basically their after-tax income would just be going to childcare. So you're just working to pay somebody else to watch the child. Um, it's just, the rising cost of daycare has been out of control. I think that if we didn't spend as much money in our federal government and in state governments, if we didn't spend near as much money on foreign vanity projects, which Doge is working on taking care of right now, or we didn't spend so much money per capita relative to the rest of the world on defense and incentivized other countries to protect their own sovereignty instead of counting on Uncle Sam to do it, our good Uncle Sam, then we would be able to repurpose some of that federal tax revenue towards programs to reduce the burden of daycare. I think that's something that we should do and that we should talk to our legislators about. The other thing is, I've studied the increased healthcare costs because of what short maternity windows we have in the United States. Um, Not a lot of people talk about it, but it does create a level of stress on a mother and a child when your maternity window is very short. Um, I think that we need to work on that. I read a study from the U.S. government or the Family Institute. I read it from the Family Institute that um, if we extended maternity leave in the United States, and I think it could be funded through some sort of, either subsidy from the government. Again, if we repurpose our cash flow, more focus on taking care of things here at home first and foremost, keep first things first. I know it's a crazy concept in Washington, D.C., take care of first things first here at home. But if we could either do it through funding it through congressional budgets, or maybe through a tax credit through employers, where if they continue to pay somebody for a more extended maternity leave, they get to, use a tax credit for that expenditure, which I think would be ideal. Either way, it would be ideal. Um, because what I had found from a study from the Family Institute was that it would save about $8 billion a year in healthcare expenses because of complications after birth or complications with children, healthcare wise, when they're not with their mother for a solid period of time. I don't know whether that should be, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it may be. I'm not the expert on that. But I think we can all agree that there should be far more attention and value put on that very special time after a child is born, where the child is with the mother. That's a sacred period of time. We call it the newborn bubble. I love it. It is my favorite. While you're watching this right now, since I pre-recorded it, I'm actually at home in the newborn bubble. And that's when you have a new baby at home and it's just you and your spouse and your baby and family, and you're just in that bubble. You're not working, you're not worried about things, you're not traveling, you're not doing nothing. You're sitting at home in that newborn bubble and soaking up that very special time with that newborn. And we're doing it with our toddler too. Um, So the newborn bubble is so special. I think that we should, as a country, if we want to talk about, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I think we ought to focus a little bit more on not just, being, focused on the life of the child being born, but also the quality of life after the child is born and the quality of care for the mother. One of the most shocking things that I learned um, when we started having children was the mortality rates for women during childbirth and right after childbirth. The things that happen during that period, um, the risks that are taken, and the care that's not given absolutely shocks me for a developed country. And as much as we spend on healthcare, to be ranked where we are for childbirth mortality rates is is disgusting. It's unbelievable. And I think we as a government should, as the United States government, the government should be more focused on the quality of life for children. Um, and it wouldn't be viewed as such as burden if we can improve it. So in summary, my thought is raising children is not a burden. Having children is not a burden. But whatever burden there is, or whatever difficulties there are, we should be calling on government leaders and legislators to focus more resources on improving that quality of life for having children, raising children, childcare, and all the rest. So those are my thoughts for today here on TD Talks. Thanks for tuning in. You can subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and you'll get a notification every time I share these. So again, this was pre-recorded. I'm actually at home right now in the newborn bubble. It's a special place to be. If you've never been in it, I encourage you to get a newborn bubble and start having babies and increase the fulfillment of life. Children are a heritage from the Lord. So you'll have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.
The views and opinions voiced in this podcast are solely the views and opinions of Taylor Davis and do not reflect the views or opinions of any other entity or organization. The content provided is for informational purposes only and is not meant to be specific investment advice for any individual. Please consult with your financial advisor to address your unique circumstances. Taylor Davis does not provide legal or tax advice.